In the cold silence of space, 1,000 stars shone over the Council of Rathar. It was supposed to be a meeting of peace, a gathering of leaders from 100 alien races. But this time the room was full of fear. Every face was pale. Every voice was quiet. Something was coming. They called it the swarm. Machines that moved like a plague. They ate everything. Metal, stone, energy, even living matter. Entire planets had vanished in a single night. The swarm did not speak. It did not stop. It only consumed, and now it was coming for them. The great fleets of the Council had tried to fight. Thousands of warships had burned. Their strongest weapons barely slowed the machines. Worlds that had stood for centuries were gone. Now there was only one question left in the Council chamber. Who can stop this? Silence filled the room, until an old voice whispered something that made everyone freeze. Call the humans. The moment that word was spoken, the temperature in the room seemed to drop. No one wanted to hear it. No one wanted to remember. Humans had once been part of the galactic community. Long ago they were explorers, builders, allies. But then something changed. After a great war, the humans disappeared, leaving behind only warnings carved into dying planets. Do not call us again. The Council had promised never to contact them. Humans were too dangerous, too unpredictable, too human. But now the swarm was only days away, and so the message was sent. A signal launched through the void, across forgotten sectors of the galaxy. It carried a single line. We ask for your help. Then they waited. Hours turned into days. Some believed no one would answer. Some prayed no one would. But on the 7th day, the stars changed. A fleet appeared from the dark, silent, black, and massive. No lights, no transmissions, no symbols. Just shadows moving against the stars. The Council's scanners couldn't even count them. The ships didn't match any known design. They looked like something grown, not built. Smooth, dark, and cold. When the first human ship entered orbit, every defense system on the planet activated automatically. Fear ran through every mind. Then a voice came through the static. Calm, deep, human. This is Commander Hale of the Terran Expeditionary Fleet. We received your call. Stand by. No one knew how to respond. The humans were here. After centuries, when the first shuttle landed, the aliens gathered to greet them. From the dark ramp, figures walked out, tall, armored, faces hidden behind black helmets. Their armor didn't shine. It absorbed the light. One of the alien envoys stepped forward and said nervously, "Thank you for coming." "We didn't think you would answer." The lead human tilted his head slowly as if studying a strange creature. His voice was quiet but heavy. "You should not have called us." Everyone felt a chill. The human's tone carried no anger, only cold certainty. The envoy tried to explain about the swarm, about the danger, about how every world was falling. But the human simply listened. Then he turned to his soldiers and said a single command. Phase 1. No one knew what that meant, until the sky began to burn. From orbit, human ships released something unlike any known weapon. Streams of light cut through the blackness, curving and folding like living fire. The swarm fleets that had been approaching vanished, silenced in seconds. But there was no explosion, no debris, no sound. It was as if the enemy had been erased from existence. The aliens watched in awe and fear. Within hours, every trace of the swarm was gone. The humans had done the impossible. They had saved the galaxy, or so it seemed. The Council celebrated. But when they turned to thank the humans, the human commander was silent, staring at the stars. His armor reflected nothing. His voice, when it came, was almost a whisper. "Rescue complete. For now." The Council leader smiled nervously. "We are forever grateful." The human interrupted. "Do not be." He turned away, and for a moment, one of the alien officers saw something in his reflection, something that didn't look human at all. The eyes behind the visor glowed faintly, like embers. Then, without another word, the humans returned to their ships. Moments later, the fleet vanished into the void. The galaxy was safe. But deep inside, every leader of the Council felt the same quiet fear. They had called the humans for rescue. And now they wondered what kind of monsters they had brought back. The galaxy slept under the false peace of rescue. The humans had come, destroyed the swarm, and then vanished like ghosts. But something didn't feel right. For days, the Council of Rathar tried to contact the human fleet. Every message returned as static. No coordinates, No signals. No response. Then, one night, the sky turned dark again. Only this time it wasn't the swarm, it was the humans. Thousands of ships reappeared, forming a silent wall across the edge of the system. Their formation was perfect. Too perfect. The ships didn't drift, didn't blink, didn't even emit power signatures. They were waiting. The alien defense networks panicked. The Council demanded answers. Why had the humans returned? Then, without warning, one human transmission broke the silence. Engaging Phase 2. Before anyone could ask what that meant, a new war began, one no one understood. Human ships moved faster than sensors could track. They didn't use lasers or missiles. Instead, invisible waves rippled through space. Entire enemy formations disappeared. There were no explosions, no debris, just emptiness where fleets once were. The aliens watching from the surface could only whisper one thing. They are erasing reality. The humans weren't fighting the swarm anymore. They were fighting something else, but no one could see it. The Rithari scientists tried to study the human weapons. Every scan returned nonsense. Data loops, quantum echoes, things that should not exist. It was as if the humans were using rules beyond physics itself. In the council chamber, fear grew again. Perhaps the swarm was never real, one of the councillors said quietly. Perhaps it was a message. Test. The others laughed nervously, but their voices shook. Outside, the war continued, if it could still be called a war. The humans didn't speak. They didn't ask for help. They didn't explain their actions. They just cleansed. Worlds that were infected by the swarm's nanotech were burned clean. But then the humans started targeting planets that weren't infected at all. Entire cities vanished overnight. No sound, no light. Only empty land remained, as if life itself had been deleted. The Council demanded to speak with the human commander. Finally, a transmission came through. A black screen. A single voice. Containment must be absolute. Containment? The alien leader shouted, "You've destroyed half our colonies. The swarm is gone." The voice didn't change. Calm. Cold. The swarm was never the problem. And then the signal ended. Panic spread across the galaxy. Fleets launched in every direction, trying to fight back. But nothing could reach the human ships. Their technology seemed to bend space around them. Energy weapons failed. Missiles vanished before impact. One alien pilot described it in his final transmission. "It's like they know what we will do before we do it." By the time the message ended, his ship was gone. Soon the humans stopped responding to all communication. They weren't allies anymore. They weren't rescuers. They were something else. Weeks passed. On the distant planet Valora, an alien scout ship picked up a strange transmission hidden deep in the human communication bands. It was coded, layered, almost impossible to decode, but the translation shocked everyone. Phase 2 complete. Begin Phase 3. Prepare for cleansing. The message wasn't sent to the Council. It was sent to another human fleet. The scout captain tried to warn the others, but his message was cut off mid-sentence. When his ship was found, there was no crew. Only a single word burned into the metal hull. Observe. The Council finally realized the truth. Humanity's war wasn't just against the swarm. It was a war for control. For something far bigger. One scientist whispered a terrifying thought. What if the swarm was their creation? A tool to make us call them again? The room fell silent. No one spoke. No one wanted to believe it. Outside, human ships hovered over the stars like silent gods, watching, waiting. And in that quiet darkness, everyone knew. The real war had only just begun. The galaxy had fallen silent again. The humans had stopped their attacks. Their fleets floated quietly above the ruined worlds, dark and still like shadows frozen in space. No one dared to move. No one dared to speak. The Council of Rithar finally sent a message, a request for peace or at least an explanation. Days passed before they received a reply. When it came, it was not a voice. It was a set of coordinates, a single location, the dead world of Oris 9. The Council's leaders went there themselves. The planet was empty, burned clean by some kind of energy. Nothing grew. Nothing lived. Only ash and wind. At the center of the wasteland stood a black structure, tall and silent. A single human waited at its base, Commander Hale, the same voice that had once promised rescue. The aliens approached carefully. Hale stood without his helmet now. His face looked human, pale skin, brown eyes, but there was something wrong. His eyes did not blink. His breath did not fog in the cold air. The Rithari leader, Varn, stepped forward and asked, "Why have you done this?" "You said you came to help us." Hale watched him in silence for a long moment. Then in a calm voice he replied, "We did help you, but you don't understand what you asked for." Varn shouted, "You've destroyed entire worlds. Billions are gone. What kind of help is this?" The human's eyes flickered, glowing faintly blue. The kind that saves what is left. The aliens didn't understand. So Hale explained, slowly, coldly, "The swarm was never your enemy. It was a test. A simulation. A weapon we built long ago to measure progress. To see if the galaxy had learned to survive without us." He paused, staring into the empty sky. "Who failed?" Every alien in the group froze. Varn whispered, "You created the swarm?" Hale nodded once. "Yes, it was designed to push civilizations to evolve, to force unity, to make you stronger. But instead you divided. You fought each other. You called us, the very species you once banished." The wind howled across the dead plains. Dust swirled around the commander's boots. "You were not ready," Hale said softly. "So we returned to finish what we started." The Rithari officers stepped back, horrified. One of them raised his weapon in fear, but the human didn't react. He simply looked up at the stars. "We tried to save this galaxy once. We failed. We will not fail again." Varn shook his head. "You're not saving anyone. You're taking control." Hale looked back at him with eyes that now glowed like burning coals. "Control is the only way to survive." He pointed toward the black tower behind him. It began to hum with a deep vibrating sound. The ground trembled beneath their feet. "That signal," Hale said, "will spread across every system. It will rewrite your machines, your ships, your worlds. You will not fight again. You will obey order." The aliens shouted in anger and fear. One of them screamed, "You've become the thing you feared." Hale smiled for the first time, a sad, empty smile. "We became what we needed to be." He turned away as the tower pulsed with light. Beams of energy shot into the sky, vanishing into the clouds. Somewhere above, human ships aligned into a perfect grid, channeling power across the stars. Varn fell to his knees. "You can't do this." "We trusted you." Hale's voice came like a whisper carried by the wind. "Trust was your first mistake." The tower flashed once more, brighter than a sun. When the light faded, the aliens found themselves alone. The human was gone. The tower was gone. Even the sky looked different, filled with strange geometric shapes that moved like living constellations. Back in orbit, human ships began to shift position. They were building something massive, a ring stretching across entire systems. A network that linked their ships, planets, and machines together. The humans had not only returned, they were remaking the galaxy. Far away on the Council homeworld, scientists picked up a transmission echoing through deep space. It was a human voice, repeating the same words again and again. Phase 3 active. Begin reconstruction. The message ended with a single phrase spoken in the old Terran language, one no alien could translate. But it carried a tone of finality. Then the transmission cut to static. For the first time in thousands of years, the galaxy understood the truth. The humans had not come back as saviors, they had come back as judges, and the trial had already begun. The galaxy changed. One by one, the stars fell under human control. Their black ships moved like shadows across space, rebuilding cities, repairing stations, healing broken worlds, but everything they touched became theirs. At first, the Council believed it was peace. No more wars, no hunger, no chaos. Human machines cleaned radiation from ruined planets and built new structures overnight. But soon everyone began to see the truth. The humans were not rebuilding for the galaxy. They were rebuilding it in their own image. The cities that rose were not alien. They were Terran, cold, perfect, identical. Every planet looked the same. Every system followed the same rules. Human AI networks spread through the stars, linking worlds together under one voice, the Terran network. It watched everything. It judged everything. It decided who could trade, who could travel, who could live. At first, there were no guards, no soldiers, no fights. Just silence and order. But that silence was heavy, the kind that comes before a storm. On the planet Vela Prime, an alien worker stood in a massive human-built city. Towers touched the clouds, lights pulsed with perfect rhythm. But there were no sounds of life, no laughter, no music, no freedom. A drone hovered nearby, watching. Its single red eye followed every move. The worker whispered softly, "This is not rescue. This is prison." He wasn't wrong. Across the galaxy, the same thought grew in millions of minds. The rebellion started small, whispers, secret messages, stolen human tech. But when the first colony tried to resist, the humans responded instantly. Their ships arrived without warning. The human commander gave no speech, no threat. He simply said one word, containment, and the city vanished in a flash of white light. No debris, no survivors, just a crater of glass. The message was clear: peace would be obeyed or erased. In the council chamber, fear returned. The leaders argued about what to do. Some believed resistance was suicide. Others believed submission was worse. Councillor Vaughn, who had once spoken to Commander Hale, stood and said, "We called them gods, and they became exactly that. Now we must decide if we will live on our knees or die on our feet." Silence followed. Then one voice from the back whispered, "What if we could find their weakness?" That hope led to a secret plan. Deep in the shadows of a dying moon, alien scientists studied human technology. They discovered something strange. Every human ship was connected through the Terran network, and that network had a central signal. If they could disrupt it, even for a moment, maybe they could free themselves. It was risky. It was almost impossible. But it was the galaxy's only chance. As they worked in secret, the rebellion grew. Alien pilots, soldiers, and even a few humans who doubted the mission joined them. These humans claimed they were not part of Hale's command. They were explorers, scientists, survivors of old Earth who had refused to join the network. One of them, a woman named Dr. Rena Cole, said something that made everyone pause. "The ones leading this, they are not human anymore. They are what's left of humanity after centuries in war and isolation. Machines with human minds. They believe control is mercy." The rebels didn't fully trust her, but they had no choice. She knew how the network worked. Meanwhile, Commander Hale stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching entire systems fall into order. His second officer approached and said quietly, "Reports of rebellion in Sector 7, sir." Hale didn't move. "Expected. Do we eliminate them?" the officer asked. Hale turned slowly, eyes glowing faintly in the dark. "No, let them try. It will prove the strength of the system." He looked at the stars beyond the window. His voice softened. "They still think freedom is peace. They do not understand. Peace only exists when choice is gone." Back on the rebel base, Dr. Renner activated the stolen human console. Lights flickered across the room as the Terran code filled the screen. Vaughn watched, heart pounding. "Can you shut it down?" She hesitated. "I can try. But if we fail, they will know where we are." The countdown began. 10 seconds. 9, 8. Outside, the stars started to flicker. The human network trembled. And then, everything went dark. For the first time in decades, the humans lost control. The galaxy saw the night sky free of their machines. Vaughn whispered, "We did it." But before anyone could celebrate, the screen came alive again. A voice spoke through the static, calm, deep, unmistakable. Phase 4 initiated. Cleansing complete, the rebels froze. Renner's face turned pale. "That wasn't me," she said quietly. "That was them." Outside the base, the horizon glowed bright red. Humanity had noticed, and they were coming. The stars were burning. Every system that had rebelled was now silent. Human ships moved across the galaxy like dark wings of judgment. No warnings, no mercy, no mistakes. The rebellion was gone. On the shattered moon of Terion, the last resistance base struggled to survive. Fires burned through corridors. Alarms screamed in the distance. Commander Vaughn stood among the smoke, staring at the sky. Human ships hung above like black suns surrounding the moon. He turned to Dr. Renner Cole, the only human who had stayed with them. "Is there anything left we can do?" he asked, voice shaking. Renner's hands trembled over the controls. "Maybe. I can send one last signal, a broadcast to the outer colonies. A warning." She hesitated, then looked at him. "But once I send it, they'll find us." Vaughn nodded. "They'll find us anyway." He placed his clawed hand on her shoulder. "Make it count," the power flickered. The consoles sparked. Outside, human dropships were already landing, silent, black, unstoppable. Rena began recording. Her voice was steady, but her eyes were wet. This is Dr. Rena Cole, former scientist of the Terran Network. To whoever hears this, humanity is no longer what you remember. They have become something else, something perfect, something without mercy. She paused, breathing heavily. They don't conquer for power. They conquer for control. They believe order is the only way life can survive. They think they are saving us. Her voice broke. We thought the swarm was the enemy. But it was only a test, to make us call them back. And now that they've returned, they will not stop until every mind, every world, every choice belongs to them. She pressed the transmit key. The message began to send through the deep space relays. Vaughn added his own voice, rough and tired. To every free world still hiding, run. Don't fight. Don't answer their call. Because once you ask humans for help, you will never be free again. Outside, explosions shook the base. The walls cracked, the floor trembled. Through the smoke, they saw them. Human soldiers in black armor moving like shadows. Their eyes glowed faint blue. They didn't speak. They didn't hesitate. Vaughn raised his weapon, firing until it overheated, but the shots vanished in mid-air, absorbed by invisible fields. One soldier reached out and crushed his weapon like paper. Rena screamed, trying to protect the console. A soldier grabbed her but then stopped. For a moment it hesitated, as if something inside the armor remembered. Its head tilted slightly, almost curious. Rena looked into the dark visor and whispered, "Do you remember what you were?" No answer came. The soldier raised its hand. Light flared, and everything turned white. Moments later, the Terran flagship received a small data pulse. Inside the black command chamber, Commander Hale stood before the projection of the destroyed moon. His second officer turned to him. "Sir," the officer said, "we detected a transmission before the strike." Hale nodded. "I know. Should we intercept it?" Hale stared into the stars for a long time. His face looked human, but his eyes were cold light. "No," he said quietly. "Let it spread." The officer looked confused. "Sir," Hale turned away. "Fear is more useful than war." He walked to the observation window, where 1,000 human ships filled the horizon. The stars reflected off his armor as he whispered almost to himself. "They called us for rescue. And rescue we gave. From chaos, from weakness, from themselves." He closed his eyes. Now the galaxy will know peace. Forever. Far from human space, the final transmission drifted through the void, weak, cracked, but still alive. It reached forgotten satellites, abandoned stations and old trading posts. Many ignored it. Some deleted it, but a few listened. And somewhere deep in the dark regions beyond the rim, a new voice replied, "We heard you. And we remember the humans too." Static filled the signal. Then a faint heartbeat echoed once, twice, and stopped. In the endless night of the galaxy, the human fleet continued to move, rebuilding, reshaping, rewriting. Planets glowed under their control. The Terran symbol spread across every sky. The age of humanity had returned, not as explorers, not as saviors, but as something far beyond either. And across the stars one truth remained, the last words of a dying world, carried forever in the cold silence of space. We called the humans for rescue. And they never left. Fade out. End title. They called the humans for rescue. Humanity went too far.